Here with today's program is Marty Robinson.
There are those who believe that the subject of this edition of the First 50 Years is the finest lyric tenor the United States has ever produced. On the strength of this recording, one would be hard put to rebut that view. Le Rêve, The Dream, from Massenet's Manon, recorded on October 11th, 1933, by tenor Richard Crooks, who in the 30s and 40s was one of the most popular singers in the country. Those, of course, were the halcyon days when public taste determined that serious singers be heard often on the radio and in live broadcasts. Richard Crooks was born in Trento, New Jersey on June 26th of 1900. He got his first singing lessons from his mother and put them to good use as a boy soprano in his church choir. He was good enough at the age of 10 to solo before a large audience at the Ocean Grove Auditorium. 2 years later, he appeared at the Trenton Music Festival, sharing the stage with the great contralto Ernestine Schumann-Heink. Not only did she predict great things for him, she swept him up in her matronly arms and planted a kiss on his cheek. The 12-year-old possibly suffered the only embarrassing moment of his stage career. Despite the happy auguries, That career was far from assured. There was no money to pay for music lessons, and so when not in school, Richard Crooks worked hard, painting the huge reservoir tanks at the Trenton Gas Works, loading ice wagons. He was well equipped for that sort of labor, 6'2" with an athlete's build. He sang with amateur groups whenever he could. When the war broke out, Crooks lied about his age and enlisted in the Army, serving with the 126th Aero Squadron. That is, till the Army found out and discharged him. And so it was back to school and back to work. And when finances allowed, visits to the standing room section of the Metropolitan Opera House to hear his idol, Enrico Caruso, sing. At age 20, Crooks got his first professional singing job as soloist with the Fifth Avenue Presbyterian Church in New York City at a salary of $25 a week. It is quite likely that this music we're going to hear next was sung there at Eastertide. And the baritone soloist on this recording was also the backup baritone at Fifth Presbyterian when Crooks sang there. He didn't do badly either. His name was Lawrence Tibbett.
Do
That duet from John Stainer's The Crucifixion, sung by Richard Crooks and Lawrence Tibbett, who sang together in their early years at the Fifth Presbyterian Church in New York City. It was just a year after his employment at the church that Crooks married his childhood sweetheart, Mildred Pine. And shortly after that marriage, the tenor was hired for his first concert performance as a mature singer. Crooks describes the incident himself. One day, he writes, we were expecting a visit from our respective families, and we wanted our little flat to look extra fine. Since we were not able to afford help, we cleaned the place thoroughly ourselves. My wife was washing windows, and I was down on the floor scrubbing when the telephone rang. A woman's voice came over the wire asking for Richard Crooks and offering a concert with a local women's club at $75. It looked like a staggering amount to us. My hands were wet with soap suds, and I was wild with joy, but I managed to keep my balance. As calmly as I could, I asked the lady to wait until I consulted my calendar to see if I were free to accept the offer. I was. I clinched the deal and told my wife I was now a professional concert tenor. Crooks continued his schooling, taking music degrees at Temple University and Lafayette College, and he studied with Frank LaForge. During one of his recitals, Crooks was heard by Walter Damrosch, who was so impressed with the young man's talent that he offered to obtain for him a $10,000 loan so that he could continue his studies in Europe. A proud young man who insisted on making his own way, Crooks, thanking Damrosch, demurred. About the same time, the young tenor was offered the lead in a production of The Student Prince at the very princely salary of $1,000 a week. Though badly in need of money, Crooks decided that that was not the direction he would choose for his career. And then came an offer he couldn't refuse. The concert manager, Hinsel, proffered a long-term contract. Crooks accepted and was engaged for 9 appearances with the New York Symphony, led by Dr. Damrosch. In the first concert, he performed highlights from Siegfried with Florence Easton. He was an immediate success, leading to a number of engagements around the country. Here is Crooks in one of his many, many recital pieces, Liza Layman's lovely Ah, Moon of My Delight. Ah, moon of my delight. If you noticed a similarity in that recording to the John McCormack recording of the same music, you wouldn't be the first. There were many who compared the quality of Crooks' voice to that of McCormack's. This edition of the First 50 Years is devoted to tenor Richard Crooks.
You're listening to The First 50 Years with Marty Robinson on WFMT Chicago. The program is brought to you by Tallman Home Federal Savings and Loan Association. Now back to Marty Robinson.
Earlier, I mentioned that Crooks had the build of an athlete. Actually, he was an athlete and once won the handball championship of New York State. Musicologist David Ewan tells us it was on the very day that Crooks made his debut at Carnegie Hall. After his first American concert tour in 1922, Crooks crossed the ocean to sing in England and on the continent. The reason for his going was that there were not enough opportunities for the development of the young singer in the United States. Many years later, Crooks deplored, in an interview, a situation very much unchanged. He said, "It is a pity. You know, since my time, nothing has changed very significantly. Ames, Nordica, Farrar, Eddie Johnson, they all had to go to Europe to get their experience. It's exactly the same today. The best young American singers all go over because the workshop is not the same as the professional stage. Workshops have their own importance, but not as training grounds for the theater. They are the first step, but they are nothing but glorified teachers' studios. You cannot get professional experience there. It's like having a new baby. The first week you give him a bottle, the second week you hand him a big steak." Unquote Richard Crooks in the late 50s. We might note that while there has been some improvement in that situation in recent years, a good deal of what Crooks said is, alas, still too true today. Crooks' reviews in Europe were universally excellent. Here is another recital piece that he used extensively. When he sang it on the continent, it was most assuredly in German, a language he used well, as we shall hear later. This version is in English.
Through the leaves the night winds moving, murmur low and sweet. To thy chamber window rubbing, love hath led my feet. Silent prayers of blissful feeling link us though apart, link us though apart. On the breath of music stealing to thy dreaming heart, to thy
Schubert's Serenade, a rather slower tempo than we are used to hearing, but very beautifully performed by Richard Crooks, accompanied by Frederick Schaubecker. After his first European venture, Crooks returned home for 2 more seasons of concert work throughout the United States, but no opera opportunities. That would wait for his return to Europe, where in Hamburg, in 1927, he made his opera debut in Tosca. Richard Crooks says Cavaradossi. That recording was made on April 22nd, 1938. To get a clearer idea as to how good Crooks was at the time of his debut in Hamburg in 1927, here is a recording he made just months after it took place, and music he sang in Berlin shortly after that debut. One can easily understand why he was so successful in Germany. This is a really beautiful and poetic reading of the prize song from Die Meistersinger. The prize song from De Meistersinger, recorded by Richard Crooks with an orchestra conducted by Rosario Bourdon on March the 1st of 1928. Crooks continued his operatic successes in Europe and his concert successes at home, but it wasn't until Thanksgiving Day of 1930, 3 years after his opera debut, that he first took the stage in his own country. It was with the Philadelphia Opera Company. The Metropolitan Opera was represented in the audience there, liked what it heard, and offered a contract. Crooks didn't think he was ready yet. There were more recitals, and there was more study. And finally, on February the 25th of 1933, Richard Crooks sang for the first time at the Metropolitan Opera. The role was the Chevalier de Grieux in Massenet's Manon. Wrote critic W.J. Henderson of the New York Sun, "The new tenor has a voice of good quality, warm and persuasive. The tone proved itself capable of uttering the sentimental portions of Massenet's music with feeling as well as with musical beauty. The singer revealed a serviceable technique and a good breath control. Some of his phrases were long, well-sustained, and made a finely spun tone." That is not a bad review for a Met debut, but it points up a disparity that seemed to follow Crooks over most of his career. The critics were often lukewarm about him, but his audiences adored him. The house for his Met debut, for example, was a bit more enthusiastic than Mr. Henderson. They gave him 37 curtain calls.
Je suis seul. C'est le moment suprême. Il n'est plus rien que j'aime comme un repos sacré, comme apporte la croix. Oui, j'ai voulu mettre Dieu même entre le monde et moi. L'ombre qui passe
A Fouiller douce image from Manon, recorded by Crooks on October the 8th of 1937. In his entire Metropolitan Opera career, Richard Crooks sang but 60 performances, but he became one of its most popular stars, nevertheless. Some of his other roles were Faust, Wilhelm Meister, Romeo, Alfredo, Pinkerton, Cavaradossi, and Don Ottavio. That last named was the last role he sang at the Met in 1943. Here is his fine recording of Il mio tesoro, made October 6th of 1937.
Il mio tesoro intanto andate, andate a consolar e del bel ciglio il pianto cercate di asciugar, cercate, cercate, cercate di asciugar, e con gli stragi e morti non sia volio tornar, non sia volio tornar, sì, non sia volio il mio tesoro intanto andate, andate a consolar e del bel ciglio il pianto cercate di asciugar, cercate, cercate, cercate di asciugar, cercate.
Richard Crooks as Don Ottavio.
This is the First 50 Years with Marty Robinson on WFMT Chicago, brought to you by Tallman Home Federal Savings and Loan Association. Now, with more of the First 50 Years, here's Marty Robinson.
Interspersed with his operatic work, Richard Crooks maintained his extensive concert career in the United States and in such far-flung lands as Africa and Australia. But it was his extensive radio work that made Crooks a household word in this country. He had his own regular program for several years and made innumerable appearances on greatly popular programs like The Telephone Hour and The Voice of Firestone. An operatic aria was occasionally scheduled on those broadcasts, but you would be far more likely to hear something like this.
The desert breeze, I may wander where I please, yet I keep on longing just to rest a while, where a sweetheart and our eyes takes the place of sand and stars, all the world forgotten. One woman's smile, one alone to be my own, I alone to know her caresses, one to be the one my worshipping soul possesses. At her call I give my all my life and all my love and you. A magic world to me, if she were mine
Mine Alone from Sigmund Romberg's The Desert Song. The songs of Stephen Foster were a specialty of Richard Crooks, often requested as encores in recitals and often scheduled on his radio appearances. He brought to them the same artistry, diction, fluid line, and lovely tone as had John McCormack before him.
and dewdrops are waiting for thee. Songs of the rude world heard in the day, lulled by the moonlight, have all passed away. Beautiful dreamer, queen of my song, list while I woo thee with soft melody. Gone are the cares of life's busy throng. Beautiful dreamer, awake unto me. Beautiful dreamer, awake unto me. Beautiful dreamer, out on the sea, mermaids are chanting the wild lorelei. Over the streamlet vapors are born, waiting to fade at the bright coming morn. Beautiful dreamer, beam on my heart, e'en as the morn on the streamlet and the sea. Then will all clouds of sorrow depart. Beautiful dreamer, awake unto me. Beautiful dreamer, awake unto me.
Richard Crooks' lovely recording of Stephen Foster's Beautiful Dreamer. Crooks retired from all performing in 1950 because of poor health. He and his wife purchased a home in California, but maintained an apartment in New York City. In 1966, he was invited to take part in the ceremonies attending the last performance at the old Metropolitan Opera House. The late Francis Robinson described the occasion of Crooks' appearance. When Richard Crooks came on stage at the last performance in the old Metropolitan Opera House, he was paid in what Alexander Wolcott used to refer to as the coin of which most players know nothing. It had been 23 years since he sang there, but on his entrance, the entire tenor section of the Metropolitan Opera Chorus rose to greet him. Opera choristers are not a gullible lot. They know a champion when they see and hear one, and they wait until they do. To conclude this program, a song which Richard Crooks sang many times as guest artist on The Voice of Firestone, the program's concluding theme, written by Idabel Firestone. It was traditionally sung or played by the star of that night's show, but it is always Crooks' voice I hear when the music runs through my thoughts.
Thoughts I cherish, and
his last years, Richard Crooks lived with his wife at Portola Valley, California, near Palo Alto. And he retained his connections with music to the end. On the boards of the Los Angeles Symphony, the Hollywood Bowl, and the Los Angeles Civic Light Opera. Richard Crooks, one of the finest lyric tenors this country has produced. He died on October the 1st of 1972.
You're invited to listen again next Friday afternoon at 1 p.m. and Saturday evenings at 7 for another First 50 Years program, both brought to you on WFMT by Tallman Home Federal Savings and Loan Association. It's 2 o'clock in Chicago. This is WFMT Chicago at 98.7 FM.